was meant to be Ronda's music because she's in the main event, but I mean, obviously, it can't entirely be because as we all know, music is scripted. Ladies and gentlemen, Marks and Marquettes, welcome to the Throwing the Book Wrestling Podcast, the only wrestling podcast. I am your host, Sean Howe, and we've got a lot to do this episode, quite frankly. I mean, the first thing is that it's almost a tradition at this point that I blame something that could cause noises throughout the show. Luckily, there isn't much this week. We could get some seagulls, but that's always a risk living by the coast. But other than that, I think we might actually have a background noise-free show. There's a first time for everything, ladies and gentlemen. And secondly, this week I've decided that I'm going to try and go through basically what the WrestleMania card will probably or should probably be from this point. Because I don't know if you've heard, but there was a report that there's going to be 17 matches on the card at WrestleMania. Which, well, for a start, is too many. Far too many. Secondly, how long is this show going to go on for? Particularly if you're staying up for it. I feel like if I do that, I'll probably die. I can't guarantee. If I will live tweet WrestleMania, but do not be surprised if they just stop before, like an hour or so before the main event, whether that be sleep or just well, whether it be temporary sleep or permanent sleep, I suppose you could say. But also, actually, on the note of live tweeting, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the tweeting about Raw and SmackDown as they happen, or as a kind of rewatch type deal. I do want to do the rewatch because I feel like that would be better for my sleep pattern than staying up. Basically my plan is that I'm going to buy this kind of Sky thing for the for Formula One race actually happening next week, and I'm going to see if you can watch the WWE programming on there, and if you can, then I'll probably use that to do the as live reactions. So it's good to know that I have got a plan. I think it's not the best of plans in the world, but you know, it's something. Also, I'm probably going to not actually talk about Raw and SmackDown that much in this bit. Normally we do a bit of sort of preamble, kind of talking about the previous episodes, because, well, a lot of it's this stuff, the stuff that I want to talk about from these episodes, will come up in the actual booking thing, because of course it will. This is what WrestleMania is, what all these shows are building to, so it's going to be brought up, and I will put out my opinions, but I will just say one thing straight away. Baron Corbin for Kurt Angle's retirement match? No. If that actually happens, because I'm sure they're going to change it. In fact, actually, a lot of WWE's actions, that's the word I was looking for, actions, you almost feel like they're trying to get dislikes, because as we all know, any publicity is good publicity. Those dislikes will still come up on the thing, it will still get people recommending it on YouTube, and I don't know how we fix it. I don't know how we stop them deliberately annoying us to get more press. I don't think there is a way of stopping it, and I'm scared, because God knows what will happen if they actually try and press this further. Because, oh God, it'd just be a war zone. It'd just be a war zone in everything. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that anymore, because that would almost be a self-fulfilling prophecy in many ways. Getting angry about WWE trying to make us angry. Because, yeah. So I think we will actually crack on with the booking and the world's best segue. So, 17 matches. 17 matches. How could any wrestling promotion have enough just people generally to have a 17 match show? Well, WWE is many things, and one of them is too big. And I was surprised when I wanted to write down what all of the matches would probably be, the ones that I have been confirmed, the ones that probably will be. And it does add up to 17 matches. I thought there was going to be a couple of things that may not have been announced yet that are going to put in that we wouldn't be expecting. But just using logic, you can get to 17 matches. Which in many ways is terrifying. So what I thought I'd do is I'll go through the matches that have already been confirmed, quickly touch upon what their results should be, and then go through the matches that will probably happen but they're not been confirmed yet, making any changes to any that might need changing, and doing stuff like that, so I can actually flex the fantasy booking muscles that I very clearly have. And, well, basically just going through it and seeing how long it takes. Because, I mean, genuinely, this, again, I think I said this last time, but it kind of ended up being a sort of 40-odd minute sort of episode. But this could go on for 20 minutes, it could be an hour and a half. There's no way of telling. Every match is different, every match has different stuff to talk about and different booking things, and again, I should do more preparation for these, but I don't, because in fact, I don't actually know why I don't. I think I only do it to reference the fact that I don't, which I really shouldn't do. But anyway, before I have an existential crisis, let's actually get on with what I said we were going to do, and because of that, I'm going to play another D chord. One day I think I'll play an E chord, see if anyone notices. People probably will. So, the matches that we have confirmed so far are the Raw Women's title main event between Ronda, Charlotte and Lynch. We've got Lesnar vs Rollins, Triple H vs Batista, Shane McMahon vs Miz, Randy Orton vs AJ Styles, and Angle's retirement match, which I'm leaving blank because, again, we're changing Corbin. Corbin, you're going, buddy. Sorry, mate. Sorry, I'll get more into this, but sorry for your sake. Oh, actually, also another one that got confirmed recently. I forgot. Almost forgot. Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio, which again I'll talk about a bit, but but before we get there, let's talk about the ones that we definitely have and the results that it should be. So the main event, Ronda, Charlotte, and Lynch. It's kind of obvious. A lot of these matches, the bigger matches, have obvious things. We want the babyface win there, and we want Lynch to win, because of course we do. And she's the best person to hold the belt as well. So it just makes sense. If they didn't have Lynch win, then God knows what the crowd would be like. But anyway, I don't want to speculate on that too much, because WWE might just do it. And it's a similar situation in many ways with Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. It really should be Seth, but Lesnar has a history for this of just sticking around. And I will admit, the whole being advertised on SmackDown after it goes to Fox does worry me slightly, because if he's sticking around, that means he could hypothetically keep hold of the belt. But he really, 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 really shouldn't. I said that was an unnecessary amount of time to say really, but you get my point. I think actually the point I was trying to make there, I articulated that very poorly. But he should hold on to it for a long time, basically. Same sort of with Lynch, but with the Women's title, but again, I suppose you could put in storyline things, maybe another few with Charlotte or other people, which could make a bit more sense out of that for if she were to lose it early. But again, I'm not booking everybody's journey after WrestleMania, I'm just booking the WrestleMania thing, so I'm not going to get bogged down in that. So Triple H versus Batista. Now, this one's tricky because Batista has said this is going to be his last match. And that's perfectly fine. So, but the thing is, does that mean that Triple H wins? Now, again, it's a weird thing with Triple H because he doesn't really need it. He doesn't need the win, really. He hasn't needed a win for a while. In fact, part of me thinks that the reason he wanted this match was because I believe he has the record for most WrestleMania losses, I think. I think he either has it or he's tied. So I think he might just want to get a win back and get a win back over Batista, who he never got a win against. I mean, I'm not going to say much more than that. If you know anything about Triple H, you know that is a distinct possibility. Like, part of me would want to give Batista the win. Kind of but it wouldn't go anywhere though. His character work has been great, but it's literally not going anywhere. So Triple H kind of wins that by default here, because he's going to do something. He's going to take this momentum somewhere. In all likelihood, that somewhere will be Saudi Arabia. But that's the way it is. But I think that they'll be able to put on a slightly better match than people are expecting. I feel, because it's going to have a lot of like rehearsal time and stuff like that. It's not going to be like the match at Saudi Arabia between DX and Brothers of Destruction. It's not going to be like that. I think both of them will pull out as much as they can, particularly Batista, since admittedly he hasn't been in the ring in a while, but it's his last match. He wants to go out in style. So I think this is a match to look forward to. Shane McMahon versus The Miz. Normally I don't talk about spots that I want to happen in this match, but I feel like there is a golden one that is just lurking in there, and I don't know if they're going to do it. You may have noticed that Miz lost the two tag title matches when he was teaming with Shane, and he's very keen to get up on the top rope a bit more than usual, kind of risking it all, if you know what I mean. I don't know why I said that. That sounds like an innuendo, but it's not. He was going high risk. Now Shane is a fresh new heel. So his offense of jumping off things and doing elbow drops and whipping out shooting star presses out of bloody nowhere, how did he do that? How can a man his age do a shooting star press? It just confuses me. But again, as a heel, that doesn't really work. People want to see those moves. So if Shane wants to be a big kind of traditional I'm a McMahon sort of heel, then he wouldn't do it. He'd just be doing his big old potato punches and weird MMA stuff. And at that point, it would be good because he's a heel. We can properly boot it because it is crap, but we can put that down to Shane being a heel instead of just being crap at what he's doing there. So what I want to happen is I want Miz to at least try to do a coast to coast on Shane. I don't know if he could do it. I don't know if it would. I feel like it probably wouldn't work. I feel like that there'd probably be a finish in that, because I think again I want to give Miz the win, but I don't know where a babyface Miz is going to go from here. Miz has always worked best as a heel. Everybody knows that, and it's basically everybody thinks that he was put into this feud for Shane. Clearly, Shane wanted to turn heel, so now Miz is kind of stuck as a babyface, because he's a very good heel. He's a possible main event heel, is the Miz, but he isn't a main event babyface. He's a mid card babyface, which is still not a bad position, but you could probably use the heel Shane character in some slightly better ways, especially since he wouldn't be turning up as much in the ring. So I think we kind of have to give this one to Shane. I mean, I wouldn't mind if Miz won. I'm not going to be like, oh, why did not Shane win? No, this is a match where it could go either way, and I wouldn't really mind. But I feel like if I had to choose, I would give it to Shane and then kind of use that heel character as for another thing. Maybe he could, after Kofi's lost his WWE title, which he will win, more on that in a bit, perhaps Shane could cost him, and you could have a kind of weird but still very acrobatic match between the two. I wouldn't actually do that, I'll be honest, but it's just the suggestion that came into my head just now. So, yeah, Shane will go for that one. Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. I think Styles should win this one. I'm just going to put it out there because, again, Orton can afford to lose. Styles has kind of been floating a little bit without much to do, and I feel like having a win against someone like Orton, a big thing like that, would be good. Although my one worry is that they might give it to Orton simply so they can do the phenomenal forearm into the RKO spot. That's almost certainly going to happen this match, given that they teased it that one time and then didn't do it. So then after doing that, I suppose AJ can't really kick out of that, because that's a very big move. So again, this is one where I wouldn't really mind it going either way, but I feel like Styles would need to win more to get him back to a reasonable position on the card. So yeah, that's all I've really got to say about this match, because the promos between the two last week were very good, and the match will probably be quite good. And we do now know that AJ Styles has very importantly got a new dog, and also signed a WWE contract. But look at his dog. He's a very cute dog, let's be honest. So I suppose Styles would probably be better off with that win. I mean, he might, given that he's got that new contract. He's probably doing fewer dates. Normally it's fewer live dates, but he could go away for a bit. Perhaps, or if Orton does win, Styles could go away for a bit, come back with after SummerSlam, say, with a new sort of attitude or something like that. Again, I don't know where it's going to go. I'm drifting into booking him after WrestleMania again. I can't help it. It's just, nah. So yeah. So that one. And Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. Yeah, Samoa Joe should just choke Mysterio the fuck out. It'd be a good match. I'm not saying just have him do it in 5 seconds. Not at all. Give these guys some time and they'll be able to put on a very good match. It's a very interesting match, interesting dynamic between the two, the size difference and everything else. That's what Rey Mysterio thrives on. But Joe should win. And just, again, I've said it before, Joe should hold that title for a long old time. And he should really legitimise it, because he can do that. And he's got the presence and everything to do it. So, yeah, Joe is gonna kill you. So those are the matches that that have been confirmed, and this is where the problem comes in with the other matches that will probably happen. If you're counting, you'll see that they'll probably add up to 17, because when I was writing them down, the other ones that I put in was the WWE title match, which will be Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston, which I may as well say Kofi Kingston should win. And also, I don't know how to feel about the whole gauntlet match thing, where Bryan was added in after Kofi beating all the guys and then losing that. I get that you want to get all of the fans behind Kofi, but they kind of were already, and you've only got 2 weeks of build left. So I don't know how you're going to put Kofi into the match, which he will have, and also have enough time to have that sort of classic sort of go home show, sort of stare down type deal with 2 weeks left. I mean, there was the whole thing where by the end of the match, backstage, you saw basically the whole babyface roster were cheering Kofi on. So I suppose it could be a case where maybe the babyface roster did go on some sort of almost like a strike and say Kofi deserves this match. We are all behind him. We're not going to turn up until he gets that match or something like that. Which is I understand it, but again, did the story really need that? I feel like the story would have actually been better if Kofi would have won this match, because then it kind of sets it in stone. It gives you more kind of creative freedom with what the last 2 weeks of the program's going to be, and Kofi's in the match and everyone's happy. But again, I could very easily be proven wrong here, because it's still a very good storyline. I'm not saying that. It's been very good, but I just think that you might be kind of almost dragging it out a bit too much. But just my opinion. So anyway, on other matches that are put in, we got the SmackDown Women's title match, which we need to put in, which I'll talk about in a bit. We've got Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, which will happen. We've got the Women's Tag Title match, the IC title match, Raw Tag Team title match, SmackDown Tag Team title match, men's battle royal, women's battle royal, and Buddy Murphy, at least called him Blake Murphy, Buddy Murphy versus Tony Nese for the Cruiserweight title, which will probably be on the pre-show, but will probably also be very good. And that, if you add up all the other ones, does come to 17. So what I'll do is that though thing is that's not leaving it at that. I'm not leaving it at that. There will be some interesting things here, and I'm going to go through the ones that either will happen or haven't been confirmed yet, and how they should probably play out, and a couple of changes that I'd make. So if I'm going down the list, the first one that I get to is the SmackDown Women's title match. Asuka will be defending. Who's she defending against? Well, next week they said there's going to be a fatal four-way between Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, oh god, who is it? Carmella and Naomi. And the winner of that match will be the number one contender. And if I were to choose who out of those four would I want to face Asuka at Mania, I'd probably say, just without any context at all, say Sonya Deville. But Sonya Deville lost to Asuka last week. And Mandy Rose probably... Mandy Rose, I've said that she probably does need time in the ring with someone like Asuka, but my thing is that she would be losing again, because Asuka shouldn't lose the title here. Well, unless it... And if she did, it wouldn't be to Mandy Rose. And then Carmella and Naomi are both okay. I'd say Naomi's better than Carmella, but it wouldn't exactly be a very exciting match. So, my plan for this match is getting trashed. Somebody is turning up and staking a claim for themselves and ruining this match. And I have two options. One more fantasy booking-y than the other. First suggestion. Match goes on, it's going well, and then suddenly lights go out, and who's in the middle of the ring with a big old, let's say, kendo stick or steel chair? Nikki Cross. Because, damn it, why aren't you using her? She's really cool and good. And she had a great match with Asuka at... Actually, no, it wasn't at a takeover. It was NXT TV, Last Woman Standing. And that was great. And you can just replay that match. Maybe not have it Last Woman Standing, but just kind of no holds barred or Extreme Rules type thing. You can have that match down. It would be really good because they work really well together, and character-wise, it would fit. Because also, I suppose you could be saying, well, hang on, if she trashes the match, there's no actual guarantee that she'd be number one contender. But the sort of character that Asuka has is that she would be willing for the challenge. And I think in that, if Cross has it, it'd be a very hard-hitting match, but I think Asuka would come out on top. But Cross would have put in a hell of a performance, and she would be very, very put over in defeat. The second option, however, wouldn't be losing. You can probably figure this out if you've seen a couple of people on wrestling Twitter. I like to think... I don't think I did have this idea for this match first. But I was thinking about the possibility of this match happening before... I think it's before Asuka won the title at TLC. I didn't note it down in any way. But I might have put something on Twitter. But I've been thinking about this match happening for a while. And that is Asuka versus Shayna Baszler. This match would be great, wouldn't it? It'd be a great sort of... be kind of like a clash between two worlds of NXT. Probably the two most dominant NXT Women's Champions going against each other. I would say that Baszler will probably still have the belt after TakeOver. I feel like she would deserve that, and then having her hold both belts, I think would fit her very well. Having both belts there, being flanked by Shafir and Duke, I think would work. Admittedly, there's that whole thing where Paige won the, at the time, Divas title, and then while she was holding the NXT Women's title, and then Regal said, "Hey, don't do that, give me back the NXT one." So I suppose by that logic that probably couldn't happen. But logic is a thing that can be... You can work that out. You don't have to apply to it too much. Because I just love the idea of the two would blend together so well, and it'd just be cool. I'm not expecting it. Because And the main reason why I'm saying that she should probably stay in NXT as well is because I did say in the Tommaso Ciampa episode that every star that NXT has should probably be kept under lock and key for the time being while Ciampa recovers, just to keep everything safe. NXT wouldn't fall apart if Baszler left, but I feel like, it's a precautionary measure, and you can still keep her on NXT and have the main roster title, and it will put more eyes on NXT. And also, Fox would absolutely love having Baszler as women's champion. They would be salivating at that. Actually, maybe next week I could do a sort of kind of what WWE should do in the brands. It's not another brand split. It's still technically split. I know it's hard to believe, but how they should do the draft or shake up. Maybe. I mean, given that I've said this in the podcast now, I probably will have to, because otherwise it'd be a bit of a shit payoff. So I suppose, that's what I'll do next week. So next match down, Kurt Angle's retirement match. Oh, Baron. I understand there was a story there, but the storyline died as soon as Corbin was taken out of the GM role. From that point, the storyline was dead because there were no GMs anymore. Quotes, big old quotes. So it doesn't really work anymore. I suppose if this had happened around SummerSlam when this story was kind of kicking into gear, I suppose it makes sense. But now it just doesn't, and now it's just taking away an opportunity for Kurt Angle to have a memorable last match, which is a shame because Kurt deserves a lot better. And again, I feel like I'm being very harsh to Corbin because he's not bad. He does what he's asked to be done, and he can't help it. But equally, I feel like it should have been done with a bit more care. So I think what we'll do first is Corbin, I think, will not be in this match. It's probably very clear that I'm making that. And I think Corbin will probably be involved somehow in the McIntyre versus Reigns match, which is the next one down. So I'll get to that. He'll probably be involved in that because the weird Franken team, why are you teaming? You've never really said. You don't make any sense with McIntyre, Lashley and Corbin. So who should be his replacement? Who should be fighting Kurt Angle at WrestleMania? Well, everybody and their mum wants it to be John Cena, right? But I'm starting to think that Cena might not be at Mania. He probably will. He does tend to show up for Mania. And, it would not be like Cena to miss Mania, basically, is what I'm saying. But there was teasing of him versus Joe for the US title. That hasn't happened. And they didn't put Cena in the match against Corbin, against Angle. So, basically, I've got two scenarios here. First one, if Cena is willing to compete at Mania, he's facing Angle, because that storyline makes sense. It goes full circle. Everything else. But if he doesn't, I have got a plan B. And I think it's a plan B that nobody's really thought of, or not nobody that I've seen. And I think it would have worked quite well, because I think what should have happened on this week's SmackDown, actually on Raw, Kurt Angle should have come out and he said, well, as I'm sure you know, I'm going to retire soon. But unfortunately, there are a lot of very, very talented people on the Raw roster, but they're all a bit busy. They're all busy with things, with their own business, and I don't want to get in the way of other people's business. So I had a look over next door to the hotel next door in SmackDown. So what's going to happen is, I know that there are two men on SmackDown that scream out to me as people that I want to have my retirement match with. They also don't happen to like each other very much, and they've been wanting to have this final one-on-one match for a long old time. So this week or next week on SmackDown, Rey Mysterio will face Andrade Cien Almas. You'd probably just say Andrade, but you know what I mean. And the winner will face me in my retirement match. Then that match would happen, and maybe Joe could distract Ray if you want to set that up. But Andrade wins. And suddenly you've got this match which nobody would have expected, but could really, really help Andrade out. Because there's been this whole thing of like, oh, Andrade beating Ray would help him out a lot, and it would. And I'm slightly annoyed that these two aren't having a singles match at Mania, but having him retire Kurt and having like them come out on like a Raw or something, and Kurt's basically putting over Almas as much as he can, and then Vega pops in and says, "We don't respect you at all. You won an Olympic gold medal, but all you do while you were here is you drank milk and you did your weird sort of arm thing, and you rapped along to bloody Cena's theme and sexy Kurt and looking like a weird sort of totem pole thing in that one time, which can't even remember where that was from, where the image was from, what happened in that episode, but I just remember it in my brain constantly. I don't know if I'm describing this very well, but it's the one where he's kind of like, his arms are right by his side, but he's almost like got quite a puffy face, and he looks like he's staring right into the middle distance. He's kind of got his mouth open slightly. You know the one? Again, it's not a audio feature, but you know what I mean. And they can say that we are going to put you out of commission, not because we respect you, Kurt, but simply because we are better. Andrade said, I am better than you have ever been. Puts a little bit of fire in the thing, a little fire in the feud, and then when Andrade wins, because Kurt will probably go out on his back, you've got this big heat on Andrade and a big old scalp as well. Suddenly, he's coming up to being a main event player. Meanwhile, Baron Corbin is helping his weird buddy Drew against Roman Reigns. But of course, if it wasn't obvious, Reigns is going to win this match because, again, he's just come back from leukemia. They can't really have him lose. That'd just be harsh. So maybe it's probably going to be a sort of case where Corbin and Lashley come out and they're trying to interfere, and then Rollins and Ambrose come out and chase him away, and Reigns hits a spear on Drew. 1, 2, 3. It's a shame that Drew's losing. It is a shame. But he does get the big spotlight of being the one out of those three to have faced Reigns, which is showing that WWE know that he is the star of the three of them. And you can have Drew recover from this. It's not a fatal blow in any means. Because anybody could face Reigns and they'd be losing. Anybody. That's just how it is. You probably have to do a little bit of kind of work, maybe a couple of weeks after, making him look like a big old threat. But Drew is very good at that. Drew is very good at looking like the scariest motherfucker in the room. Jesus Christ, I would rather be stuck in a lift with a lion than with Drew McIntyre. If he was angry, that is. I'm sure he's a very nice person, but if he was angry, Jesus Christ, I'd just be a thin velour on the walls. Jesus. Anyway, so after that, on my list is Joe vs Mysterio, but I've already talked about that. So the next one is the women's tag match, which I think will probably get through this quite quickly. It's going to be that four corners match between Banks and Bayley, Iconics, Tamina and Nia Jax, and the Divas of Destruction. I still don't remember their name. I don't know why. I don't remember Natalya and Phoenix's name, tag team name. It's just never really stuck in my head. I don't know. Anyway, I think this match is going to be quite simple. It'll probably be a good match, and Banks and Bayley coming out on top, because again, they should hold those belts for a while and legitimise them. But I don't mind them losing to the Iconics on SmackDown though. I do think that having the Iconics win a non-title match like this is actually quite good for them, because they are I'd say they're the most tag team of all of the women's tag teams. And by that I mean, say with the let's say you compare them to the Revival, say. The Revival, in kayfabe terms, if you had them in singles matches, they probably wouldn't do very well. They thrive best as a duo, working off each other. The Iconics work in the same way, given how nice, good old buddies they are. And also they're really good at doing annoying promos, and I like that. And having them as a legitimate threat in the women's tag division is what they needed to do, because otherwise, well, let me put it this way: do you remember what they were doing in WWE before they had the women's tag belts introduced? I think they won at Super Showdown. I'm going to keep that in. They won at Super Showdown, but that was about it. Oh God, they beat Asuka, didn't they? Asuka and Naomi. Anyway, next match. Now, actually, these two, I've actually got little asterisks by them on my list, and those are the IC title match and the Raw Tag Team title match. And because they have asterisks, I'm going to leave them to last. You see, because there's some extra little things in there, and I'll get to that. So actually the next one on the list will be the SmackDown Tag Team title match. And I've talked about this before. It should be Usos versus New Day at Mania. Give them that opportunity to go out and kill it, and have them, and having the New Day win those belts before Kofi wins the big one. It just works. It'd be great. And then they both have the same number of tag title reigns, I think, New Day and Usos. And then the Usos, if they wanted to leave, then they could. They probably won't. I'm not going to put my hopes up for that. But if they did leave, then that would be quite a nice thing for them to go out on. It'd just be good. I've talked about this before, as I said, but it'd just be great. So now, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Talking is hard. Words are hard. Names are hard. Everything's hard. I'm hard. What? Men's Battle Royal. Probably Braun Strowman, isn't it? I think it's going to be Strowman, because he's in that match. I mean, I'm glad he's not having that kind of tag match with those weird Saturday Night Live people. Although it would have been nice to have see Nicholas come back as a tag partner for Braun, but he should basically. Braun is going to win this just to save face, because he's been kind of blindsided by the whole situation that's happened in the main event. Last 6 months he's been bouncing weirdly between things, and now he's basically stuck in the middle with not much to do, to the point where he's starting to not look like the main event that he probably could be. Well, he probably could be, and was very much being set up to be previous in the year. That's a shame for him. And then the Women's Battle Royal, the absolutely not Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal, remember that, it's just the Women's Battle Royal with the Uterus Trophy. I think it's going to be Lacey Evans. I think this is going to be the story. I think Lacey Evans is going to win the Women's Battle Royal. I think that makes sense. And I think, because there was a lot of talk, I think my voice may have cracked a bit there, but there was a lot of talk where people thinking that Lacey Evans was going to face Asuka at Mania. But I don't know what this whole kind of walking out and then walking straight back thing would be. What that storyline would be. I mean, would it be that Asuka's in the middle of saying something, Lacey Evans goes and does her kind of walking out like oh, sassy southern person, and then walks straight back up the ramp, and then Asuka, I don't know, said, hey, come back, you ready for Asuka? And Lacey's like, I was just doing my thing, I don't know what you mean. And then they just have a match and Asuka would win. That'd be really crap. So that's why we're not doing that. So I think the reason they're doing this whole walking halfway and walking back, genuinely, I think what's going to happen is all of the entrants into the Women's Battle Royal are going to come out. I find this weirdly amusing. I don't know why. And then Lacey Evans' music's hit. Music's hit. I said that 3 times. So music hits. Music hits. And then she does the whole walking up, down the ramp, go straight back up, which given the WrestleMania ramp will probably be quite a long way. And then people think, oh, that's just Lacey, she's just doing her own thing. And then last person in the match, say, ooh, I don't know, Naomi. Last person. Oh, she won it last year, I think. No, she. Anyway, Naomi's last person in the ring, and then Lacey Evans has just gone straight back down the ring. She actually was entering and eliminates her, wins a trophy. I mean, it's better than nothing. It's not an amazing storyline, I'm not going to say that by any means, but I feel like that could kind of work. And I feel like if that isn't where they're going with it, I don't know what they'd be planning. Because it kind of... Is it just to be annoying? Because... I mean, it kind of works, but it's as much this sort of thing where Lacey Evans may not be the best in the ring, but she's by no means the worst. She can go. She can put on a good match. And now just having a kind of walking up and down the ring like it's a kind of weird fashion show, it just doesn't... It's just a waste of potential there. Because she does have potential. She's good at what she does. Anyway, and so... Cruiserweight title match, which will probably be on the pre-show. Probably with the Battle Royal, Women's Battle Royal, maybe Men's Battle Royal, but I don't know. Murphy versus Nice. I think Tony Nese should win this one. Because Buddy Murphy really should be going up to the... I don't want to say going up to the main roster, because it kind of makes it sound like 205 Live and NXT are kind of on the same level. Which in many ways they are in terms of in-ring quality, because Triple H is running them both. But really 205 Live is going up to the main roster, but then you can also be the main roster. It's complicated. But Murphy really should be on... I think he'd probably go to SmackDown, or maybe Raw, because I suppose you've already got Ali there. But you have Murphy go up and have Nice take the belt and carry the Cruiserweight division with him, because I think he can do that. Because he's good. He's good. I still haven't watched 205 Live, though. I feel like... Right, actually, what I'll do... At some point, I'm definitely going to live tweet watching along to 205 Live. At some point, I'm definitely going to do that, whether it kills me or not. I'm going to do that. So, anyway. That brings us to those asterisk... Asterisk? I think I tried to say asterisked, but it'd just be asterisked matches of the IC title match and the Raw Tag Team title match. And as depressing as it is, I don't think either of these will be on the card, which is a shame for the Revival and Bobby Lashley. It really is. But I feel like sometimes you do need to make a little bit of space. If you've got other plans, you do occasionally need to get rid of a couple of things. The Revival, great as they are, they don't really have a WrestleMania worthy opponent. I mean, you've got Black and Ricochet, but I would rather have them doing separate things, which I will talk about in a moment. And Lashley, well, the only logical opponent for him would be Finn Balor, wouldn't it? But I don't really want to see that match again. And there was the whole talk of that WWE took the IC title off of Balor because they had bigger plans for him. And I've got a bigger plan for him in here. So I suppose Lashley, he can appear on the show again, helping out his weird mates. Well, they're not weird, but it's just weird that they are mates. And unfortunately, the IC title doesn't get a defence, which is a shame given how well Miz, Rollins and Balor did last year. But that's just the way it goes. So I'd say instead of having the Raw Tag Team title match, we're going to have a singles match. There's a lot of singles matches in here, but I like that because it does kind of fit with what WrestleMania kind of tries to be a big pinnacle, a kind of a main point for everything to go to, and I feel like having a singles match adds drama to that. And what we're going to do instead is you're going to have Aleister Black versus Shinsuke Nakamura, because it'd be good, wouldn't it? It'd be really good. And you could have Black and Ricochet. Maybe they challenge for the Revival for the titles at a Raw before Mania, and then Nakamura and Rusev, because they kind of have a sort of history, kind of attack them, and specifically Nakamura goes wild on Black, and then after Black comes out and on SmackDown, and he says something along the lines of, "Bitch, I'm gonna knock you out," but more eloquently than that, and presumably in a Dutch accent. And I'd say you could have Rusev and Ricochet kind of flanking their mates, I suppose, and they could kind of get involved. But most of this we're going to give the floor mostly to these two because it just works as a match. Nothing against Ricochet here. he'd be great in a match. I suppose if you wanted to change a match, you could make it a ladder match for the US belt and have Ricochet in there, because that'd just be fun. But the lineup of Black and Nakamura just makes so much sense. Again, it's an ultimate sort of NXT sort of dream match that we never got to see, and it would just work, and it would be great. And Aleister Black would win, obviously, because Nakamura is probably going to leave, and he's probably going to go back to New Japan, maybe to AEW, but probably back to New Japan. I suppose it depends how much he's disliking his time in WWE. If he's just like, this is boring, he'll go back to New Japan. If he really hates it, he'll go to AEW, basically. And I feel like and Black when it kind of gives something for Nakamura almost to go out on, in a way. And instead of the IC title match, and this is the most fantasy booking thing of them all, which is why I've saved it for last, you can probably tell what it's going to be. Demon Finn Balor versus The Undertaker. This it kind of writes itself, this match. I say kind of because there's not a lot of time to build to it. There's really not. But again, all you really need to do is you can have Finn having a match on Raw, he wins or maybe even loses. It wouldn't. I'd quite like it if, say, Finn, because he hasn't been on both run of form as of late, having lost the IC title. Maybe Finn's took a bit of a slightly shock loss, and then suddenly gong. Undertaker comes out and he says to Balor that you claim that you are this demon, but you do not use it. You have this sort of this kind of fake power in you to do it, but you never use it. I don't know whether you're scared of the demon that lives inside you, but it is holding you back. And I want, if your demon is the force that you claim it to be, he will be able to slay the dead man. So at WrestleMania, make sure the demon shows up and prove me wrong. No, prove me right. No, I got that wrong. It'd be proving me right. But basically the gist is Balor isn't using his demon stuff enough, and he should face Undertaker with it. And I think that makes sense. Because I think Undertaker in this position he would be, he'd probably want Balor to do well, kayfabe wise, because they're both kind of similar acts, sort of. They've both got kind of their demon-y things. So I feel, again, it's not. You have to rush these through, but I think it does kind of. It's a story that tells itself, and having this sort of young demon going up against the old guard would kind of work. And basically, this match, if we're going to have a short match, this is going to be one of them, because I feel like the demon is going to show up, and even Undertaker's going to be surprised. He's just going to completely wipe the floor with him. With it, like, a couple of minutes. Like squash match sort of territory, I'm talking about. Kind of, Undertaker's match against Cena sort of levels. Because, well, Undertaker can't really do very much anymore. If he can't wrestle, then he shouldn't. Just putting that out there. Just saying. If he wants to retire, then we shouldn't bring him back. But also, let's talk that WWE might be mad at Taker for doing Starcast, even though it's not related to AEW in any way, and he's not going to compete there. Like, it'd be crazy to do that. Admittedly, I would like to see what like a Kenny Omega versus Undertaker match would look like, but it probably wouldn't be very good. Kenny would try his best, but you know. Anyway, so basically, use that to massively put over Balor, because it should be great. But of course, putting over NXT talent is probably the most unrealistic thing about this fantasy booking. And on that bombshell, I think that brings us to the end of the show. So thank you very much for listening. Please do like and subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe to us and review us on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Acast. If you want to listen to more of me talking to a mate of mine, you can go and listen to Two in the Bush, which is a podcast about everything and nothing all at once, I'd say. And this is the quickest outro I've ever done. If you want to contact us, nearly forgot it, you can get us on Twitter at ThrowingBookPod, or you can email us at throwingthebookpodcast@gmail.com. We want all of the kind of constructive criticism that we can handle, because we need it. And also, if you want to suggest things that I should fantasy book, I'll be perfectly happy to do that. I can do requests. I mean, I'd need an audience for that, but you know, you've got to put the things out here, despite the fact that the audience isn't massive. So yeah, I think that brings us to the end. So thank you very much for listening once again, and I shall bid you all farewell.